What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are back with some Detroit Lions updates. We have a couple of small updates for the Lions as it is officially, or maybe tomorrow's officially. I don't know. I'm calling it officially. It's officially game week for the Lions. Yes, it is hashtag 49ers week. Can I get a hashtag 49ers week in the chat? Or maybe we should wait till tomorrow for this. I don't know. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. If you want to put it in the chat now, cool. If you want to get the hype rolling, let's do it. But either way, we are a week away from the Lions kickoff against the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm pumped. And we have a couple of small updates today. Nothing crazy, so just keep that in mind as we go through this, because I also want to talk about Michigan's opener against Western Michigan, where they won. Now, I get it. Not everybody here is a Michigan fan. I get it. Some of you guys are, so that's awesome. Some of you aren't. I get it. We got Michigan State fans. We have all fans all over. But we gotta say not everybody here is a Michigan fan. So I'm going to go through the Detroit Lions updates that I have first, and then we'll talk about Michigan. Okay, and I'm really doing this video because I didn't go live on Saturday. I wanted to, but we didn't go live. But that's okay. We can come back next week, go live, react to the Washington game. So let's get it started.
Up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to a video. Glad you guys are here, and I'm super pumped, man, because football is back. Like, not just a little bit where it's like, oh, preseason's here. Like, no, it's legit back. College football's underway. It's NFL week. I think Thursday the NFL kicks off, if I'm not mistaken. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys kick us off on Thursday. I mean, it's crazy that we made it here, but at the same time, it's been a very long offseason, and we've all been waiting for it. So I'm pumped. And this is the most exciting week. I mean, we're getting into the official game weeks. And I know you guys remember what game week is like. This is the week where we get to dive into our opponent. We get to take a look at the film, what their strengths, their weaknesses are, how the Lions can game plan, how the Lions can attack them. We'll do the predictions at the end of the week. You know, we'll keep up with injury reports throughout the week. Now, we don't have film to look on from the past game, but we'll do that as we get into the season. This is what you all wait for. You wait all year, all off season, the draft, free agency for this. For hashtag 49ers week, or whoever you're playing on week 1. So I'm pumped for that. So I want to give some Lions updates, but I do want to talk about this Michigan game, because while I didn't go live, I of course did watch it. There were some takeaways. I am a Michigan Wolverines fan. So if you're a fan of a different team, I understand. If you don't want to stick around for that portion, I get it. So if you want the Lions update and then you just want to move on, I understand. My feelings aren't hurt. But if you do want to hang in and listen to some of my talk about Michigan, you can do that. We may also bring up some other teams as well. But let's get into these Lions updates first to get this thing started. Dive into some of these number changes that we have, and also new players and the numbers that they are taking with the Lions. First off, Austin Bryant. Now, actually, someone told me this when we were streaming on DoseOfDion Gaming, that Austin Bryant changed his number from number 94 to number 2. Okay, so hopefully that changes some luck, you know, with some of the injury. Rad brought that up, that maybe Deshaun Hand needs to change his number. Well, Austin Bryant did, and we know the number rules are much different this season, so you can do things like this. So while it will be a little bit strange that he's wearing the number 2, I feel like it'll make him look quicker. You know, in a weird way, it'll make him look quicker, but hopefully it does work out for him. We know Dan Campbell thinks he has a very high ceiling. It's just about keeping this guy healthy. He was one of 5 outside linebackers. The Lions went kind of deep at that spot, but it played well through the preseason, and he finished very strong against the Indianapolis Colts. So number 2, looking back, you know, back in college, he wore the number 7. He wore the number 91. I tried to look back at high school, and I couldn't really find anything of him wearing the number 2. So I think this is new. You put 7 and 2 next to each other. Sometimes the fonts, they look very similar. I'm just saying. But anyways, he's wearing the number 2 with the Lions from number 94. Bobby Price has changed his number 47 to 27. Now, Scott Daly also has the number 47, and it was fine. We had 90 players on the roster, but he has to change that because, well, someone's got to change their number. So Bobby Price is now number 27. Scott Daly holds the number 47. Same with the DB room of wearing the number 20s. It's more of a cornerback number. I mean, it just feels more like a cornerback number. 47, remember when Tracy Walker wore that when he first got here, then he switched it to number 21? It kind of gives me some of those vibes. Going back though, in college at Norfolk State, he wore the number 7, so maybe he's just like pushing the 2 into that as well. I'm like, okay, 27, we'll rock with it. And Robbie Coleman. Now, Robbie Coleman is on the practice squad. He's not on the 53-man roster. I mean, he could be promoted this year from number 43 to number 1. Interesting. So Quentin Dunbar was wearing the number 1 with the Lions, but we know that he didn't really show up, and the Lions moved on from Quentin Dunbar. Hopefully everything is okay on his side. And now Robbie Coleman has taken the number 1. Now, he's wore a lot of numbers over his career. I mean, you look in the NFL, he's worn number, 23. He's worn 31. He's wore a lot of different numbers. Going back to college at USC, he wore number 21. At high school, I see him wearing number 21. So I think this is new for him, wearing the number 1. But number 1 does seem like okay, I mean, that's a good cornerback number. Like, I rock with number 1. For a slot cornerback, that works for me. The number changes, they're going to be a little bit confusing. The fact that Austin Bryant's 2 and Robbie Coleman's number 1. But either way, we'll get used to it, and it could be pretty darn cool if these guys get to have more options of the numbers that they choose. And then new players that are coming in, you can see Trinity Benson wearing the number 17, Hodge wearing the number 18, 2 receivers there. Austin Seibert, our new kicker, wearing the number 4. Okay, we kind of had the number 4 and number 5 with Wright and Bullock, and now we have Austin Seibert wearing the number 4. We know Zane Gonzalez is on the practice squad. Steven Montez, the quarterback that we picked up from Washington, he's going to rock number 19. That's interesting. Number 19, okay. Motley is wearing the number 29, the cornerback that's added to the practice squad. Jesse Lamagnier. I love that last name. Jesse Lamagnier wearing the number 52 as an outside linebacker. I'm excited about these outside linebackers. Jared Pinkney is wearing the number 82. Makes sense. And finally, Shane Zylstra is going to be rocking the number 84. So those are the number updates that we have. Really nothing crazy here. I mean, it was just some number updates, but it's just something to keep an eye on. It's something we're going to have to get a little bit used to. Mike Ford Hughes wearing the number 2, and now you have Austin Bryant wearing the number 2. So it's going to be like, oh, that's kind of weird. Austin Bryant one's going to be weird, but I think it would be kind of cool. Like Jamie Collins wearing the number 8. So you're going to have some very low numbers in that front 7. Detroit Lions are also projected to get 3 comp picks. I think we all expected this, wondering where. According to Over the Cap, the Lions will get 3, and also the top comp pick. Now, comp picks aren't just random because the Lions haven't had a ton in the past. Comp picks are awarded, based on really how free agency goes. For example, the Lions let Kenny Golladay go sign elsewhere with the Giants. He signs a huge contract, and the Lions don't go out and give a huge contract out to kind of replace that spot, replace that void with a big number free agent. So because of that, the Detroit Lions can be awarded a comp pick, and they're projected right now to have the top comp pick. Pretty sure over Bob Quinn's tenure, we were only awarded 4 comp picks. I think that may not be correct, but that's the number that I heard. 4 comp picks in his entire tenure, because the Lions would go out and they'd spend that free agency money. They'd bring players in, and that's what a lot of teams do. That's why they don't award a ton of picks. The projection, and you can see a couple names there that kind of cross each other out. That's how they do it. They look at, the money that you're getting paid on average per season for these players. So you could see a couple guys cross each other out, like Prater and Brashad Perriman. Unfortunately, Perriman got cut, so that one kind of stinks. So we maybe could have had our maximum 4. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe, but that one apparently crosses each other out. And then you see Jamal Williams kind of canceling out the Jared Davis signing. But Kenny Golladay, we didn't go out and sign a big free agent, to kind of replace losing Golladay, who basically signed what was like $18 million a year. Same thing with Marvin Jones, and same thing with Jamal Agnew. You see by this chart, again, it's projections, but the Detroit Lions would have the top comp pick in the 3rd round. Then the 5th round pick for Marvin Jones Jr. would be near the top, and the 6th round pick would be near the bottom of the 6th round for comp pick, so it'd almost be like a 7th round pick. It would come at the end of the 3rd round. So, I mean, heck, that's a heck of a draft pick. Here's the benefit of this. While most teams will go out and they'll sign these free agents to refill this, the Lions didn't do that. They gave a lot of prove-it deals this season. If the Lions can find success with these cheap deals that they brought in, the benefit is that, number 1, you'll have success with the cheap deals you brought in. You can have money roll over to next season. The Lions are currently, as I believe right now, 8th in salary cap with over $17 million, and use money and roll it over to the salary cap of the current season, which would be next year. So a lot of these one-year deals, their deals will be up, but they'll have money to bring guys back or bring in new players. So there'll be a lot of change next offseason in a lot of spots, because a lot of these guys, their contract will expire, but they'll have a lot of money, and you get extra draft picks. So you could have 2 things going for you here. Not just, hey, we get draft picks, but you also could have some of this money because you didn't go out and spend it. So the Lions could have 2 things going for them. The Lions are looking at possibly double-digit draft picks this upcoming draft after the trades that they have made. Plus, you get an extra 6th round, not this year's draft, but the next year. So, Lions got the draft picks, right? I mean, they're there. The draft capital's there. They want the draft capital because they want to build through the draft. Well, they have the capital to do it. So, that's exciting. Nothing surprising there. It's kind of just reassuring. Look, I'm not going to go super deep into this. At some point, we may go deeper into it, but I'm sure we've talked about it a lot during the offseason. But this does give me, in a weird ways, some Cleveland Brown vibes in the way that they turn things around in a year. Now, I know it sounds crazy. What, like the Cleveland Browns? Yeah, like the Cleveland Browns, because they turn things around in 2020. Some of the things that we have done this offseason as I continue, because I'm trying to learn and see, okay, well, how did the Browns do it? The Browns could do it. How did the Browns do it? And I look at what they did and how they approach things differently. Well, one thing is they moved on from John Dorsey. Now, we have John Dorsey in our front office. Now, he's working with us, but he's not, the guy that's running everything. He's just in here to kind of as a soundboard, someone that can help out, guy that's been a part of it, can bring up some names, and we've seen the impact some guys we brought in. So, I mean, it's nice to have him, but you don't really want him running it. I'm going to be honest there, but it's nice to have him. Just a couple of the major points that the Browns made when they really turned things around in 1 year. The positions that the Cleveland Browns addressed big time were the trenches in that 2020 offseason and heading into the year. Not just by players they brought in, but also by the staff they brought in. It was a much quieter offseason. You know, that's kind of the word that it was getting. It was a good offseason, but it was a quieter offseason. They didn't go out and land a whole bunch of, flash names, skill players that everybody knew about, big trades. Like in 2019, they were coming off a 2018 season where they went 7-8-1. It was kind of a surprise year. So 2019, the hype was real. And John Dorsey with the Cleveland Browns, they went out and they made some moves that were exciting, right? They went out there, they made the trade for Odell Beckham Jr. They made some exciting splashes. They didn't care about the salary cap. They were signing big names left and right. And then it fell flat on his face. They went 6-10. Their offensive line was not up to par. Baker Mayfield took a step back and it was just rough. So then they cleaned the house. They moved on. And in 2020, their offseason is different. They go into the offseason. Now it's different because the salary cap situation isn't like it was this offseason. For the Lions, it kind of changes things because we know the salary cap went down, which means the Lions have less money. That's also a reason why the Lions haven't spent as much. So that's a factor as well. And that's why the Lions were able to get so many players on these cheap prove-it deals, which is actually nice because it's like, oh, we got these guys on prove-it deals, and they may have signed bigger deals in other years. So this year where they're not really taking those, they're waiting for the big contract in next season when the salary cap jump backs up. So that's one of the big differences. But the way they approached it, they attacked the offensive line. Nick Harris, their first-round pick, Jedrick Wills, to the draft free agency, Jack Conklin, and they hired a new offensive line coach.
Now, I love this quote from Kevin Stefanski because this is, to me, exactly what a new head coach should say. And this is what the Lions have done. I can't do this thing alone. I know that, so I need really good people around me. Dan Campbell has said, basically, I don't know everything, but I'm going to get the right people around me. And you can see how he brings up the fact that his offensive line coach was a college head coach, so he has that experience. He's been in this spot before. Stefanski never has. He knows what he doesn't know. And I think that's what Campbell has done. Campbell's hired Todd Wash. The guy's been a head coach. Same thing there. But also Anthony Lynn. The guy's been a head coach. They're getting staff around them that can take care of the spots that he doesn't really know. Like, he doesn't know offensive play calling or defensive play calling. So let's go get a guy like Dom Capers, the guy that's been in the spot. Let's go get John Dorsey for Brad Holmes, the guy that's been in the spot. It's my team. It's our team, but let's get some mentors that can help as well.
Now, the Lions' offensive line's in a much better spot, I think, than the Browns was in 2019. But we brought in the top pick, Penei Sewell, but also the defensive line. Their defensive line was in a pretty strong spot. The Lions needed help here. They addressed that in multiple ways, not just players, but also the coaching staff. Michael Brockers, Levi, Ali McNeil, but then also the coaching staff in Todd Wash. The Browns brought in a top offensive line coach. We brought in a top defensive line coach. So we addressed the trenches. We weren't super flashy this offseason. We didn't go sign this big-name receiver or this big-name cornerback. We didn't really do that. We let the big names kind of go, and we just were quiet, but we got to the positions that we needed. Next up, the focus on the run game. The Browns brought Kareem Hunt back. They had Nick Chubb, so they played to the strengths of their team last season. It was get those two running backs to football, play action off it early for Baker Mayfield to take some of the pressure off him, and let those guys eat. Simply put, let them eat. That's the approach the Lions have taken. We've talked about it a lot, but Swift, you sign Jamal, you draft Jamar, okay, and then you go out and hire Anthony Lynn and Deuce Staley, two of the best run game coaches to do it. Now your focus is let's get this run game right. I think there's a lot of similarities here. And then finally, cutting the distractions. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but they've kept it simple this offseason. They want guys that are accountable, that are going to show up and practice, and also are trustworthy. So if you're not there in practice consistently, this offseason, Quint Dunbar, Rashad Perriman, even Cornelder could be thrown onto that mix. Terrell Crosby. If you're not able to be out there consistently in practice, then you better show up when you're there and play at a high level. And if you slack off at all, if you're not playing at that high of a level, the Detroit Lions wasted no time to cut ties and move on and go another direction. The Browns did that a ton. They had some off-the-field issues with a few guys where they cut ties there, and then the same thing as well. They wanted players that were reliable, that could find the field consistently. That's exactly what the Lions have done this offseason. So I get a lot of vibes here and just the way they're approaching it. It's quiet. It's not the flashiest. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not super flashy. They all come in with the mindset, we're going to be accountable. We're going to go at it. That's what the Lions have done. They want guys to go at it. They want guys that we rely upon week in and week out to be there, that they know are going to be there. They don't want distractions, and it's football. And then finally, I don't know if you guys have seen the Inside the Den episode, but I think it's worth checking out. But I was listening to some of the conversations the coaches were having on the sideline. You had Aaron Glenn. He was getting on the safeties. Like, you guys know what play is coming, so don't sit back. Just go get it.
We know what's going to happen. We just sit back. When we know the play, go and play it. Don't play passive.
Phenomenal job, man.
Now go finish.
We want to see safeties to be more aggressive. We see it through practice, but he continues to push that message. Aggressive. If you see the play, yes, be disciplined, but if you know what's coming, if you see it happening, go make it happen. Don't sit back and just wait on it. It's kind of the entire identity of this defense this season. Really, everywhere, from every position, is go make a play. You got the defensive lineman all about getting downhill this season, not controlling gaps. It's no, let's get downhill. That Todd Washback, or the linebackers flying around from Derek Barnes to Anthony Pittman, sideline to sideline, go make plays. And then the safeties. You have guys blitzing left and right from the cornerback position, from the linebacker spot. You're having safeties jump down into the box. Will Harris, Tracy Walker, jump on underneath routes. So for them, if you see it, if you know what's coming, go make a play. Don't sit back and just watch it happen. This is kind of what I've been projecting is like the Lions, I think they're going to give up some big plays this year. But I also think they're going to force some turnovers this year. They're going to give up plays schematically, because they're going to be more aggressive. But at the same time, the reward will be they're going to force some turnovers. And those can flip games like that. They both can flip games. So it'll be interesting to see the balance here. Of course, the perfect balance is we're disciplined, we don't give up anything deep, and we make plays. But it's just kind of tough to do that, especially with a young secondary. But the message has been to be aggressive. He was specifically talking to the safeties, though, in this spot. Will Harris, Tracy Walker. Remember Aaron Glenn told us, if you look back at the Saints when I was there, we have safeties, 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions. Malcolm Jenkins has the most interceptions he's had in a long time. This scheme is built for safeties to put up some of those numbers in the back end, and this split safety defense that can show something completely different post-snap from pre-snap. We've talked about all the scheme factors, but then you get Aaron Glenn getting on him. If you see it, go make the play. So I'm betting that we're going to see some turnovers forced by not only Tracy Walker, but also Will Harris, which is exciting. And that could be forced fumbles as well, because Will can hit. We know Will can hit. I just love it. I love the scheme for these safeties. I'm pumped because they just have seemed out of sorts, and it's just kind of like they're not really comfortable. You got Will Harris playing deep, and it's like, yeah, he can do that. Then you got the other one just locked into the box every play. It just isn't right. Getting them back to the split safety, they're comfortable, they're flying around, they're playing fast, and they're being taught to play fast. If you see it, go get it. I love that. And also, Aubrey Pleasant kind of got them a little bit too, but we know they bring the energy. And they wrapped it up with kind of like a golf tournament. They had every positional group get into groups, and they picked a champion that would lead that group. Every player from each group had 2 hits, and they have like a hole-in-one behind training camp. Actually, I think you can see it when you leave. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I think you can see it. I've seen it somewhere. Either way, it's a one hole. I don't know how far it is, maybe 100 yards, maybe like that, maybe 100, maybe not even 100 yards. It's not that far, but each positioner group picked a champion, and they all went out there and they hit it, and whoever was the closest, the top 2 would go to the championship, and they would go versus each other. And it was funny watching it, some of the hits. I love the reactions, though. Like, it was the wind. Like, oh, it ain't the wind. Now, someone did say it was windy when they were walking back there, though, so maybe it was the wind. But I was dead. When Penei Sewell went up there, oh my goodness, man, Y'all gotta see it.
Yo, oh my Lord.
Sewell probably hasn't played a lot of golf. That's what it looks like. But that's cool. It's probably better than what mine would look like, if I'm being honest. There were some ugly shots. But Will Harris, I think it bounced back onto the ground. I think it hit something. I couldn't tell. But it bounced onto the green. It'd be like, how did Will Harris do that? And then, of course, David Blau. David Blau looks like a golfer. He's that type of dude to have that pencil in his ear. You got that little pencil when you're taking the scorecard. He's got the hat on. David Blau looks like a golfer, right? And then he goes out there, it's him versus Will Harris at the end, and he puts it on the green. The defensive backs, when Will Harris put it on, everybody just chased him, ran down to the hole. The defensive backs have brought that energy, and they're bringing in this kind of games too, which is awesome. You just know they're going to bring that this season. You see the handshakes. It's a very tight group in the cornerbacks. You can just see it through practice. You're seeing it in games, but now you're also seeing it in these little things. So it was just nice to see this kind of thing, though. That's not to say they never did it in the past, but we never really saw it in the past. It was nice to see that they're doing things like this, and I think it was actually to wrap up practice. They went out and did this, and it's just something fun. Campbell's been doing this, though, with this group. We go back to before they could even put pads on and hit each other. They were mixing in games to just compete. Now, this isn't football related, but it is competitive, just to kind of break it up a little bit, just have some fun. And I liked how they broke it down. They said, okay, get us out of here, right? David Blau gets them out on 3, 1, 2, 3, family. We're going to practice. We're going to get after it. And then, of course, we're going to do things like this to have fun. We want guys to have fun. We want these groups to be very energized. I don't know if the Lions did this in the past, but I doubt that they did. There's that football side, and there's time to lock in, but there's also time to go out there and have fun. And they're trying to kind of bring them and mesh them together. You know what I mean? Let's not separate fun from hard work. Let's kind of try to mesh them together. All the craziness that week 1 had in store, Michigan did what Michigan was supposed to do at home versus a team like Western Michigan, where you have, more talent. You're favored to win by 3 scores. They did what they were supposed to do, but there was was also some good. You know, they didn't really give Western Michigan life outside of the first quarter. They did what they were supposed to do. They put the game away. They had explosive plays. And that was probably the biggest thing, is that they had multiple explosive plays, which was kind of nice to see that. You know, last year obviously was bad. We were 2-4. But sometimes you just need these games, right? I mean, there is no preseason in college football, and I think that's why you see so much craziness early in the season. But it is nice to start a year like this. You don't have to start the year right into your Big Ten play like we did last season, which was just weird. We're still trying to figure out the quarterback battle. It was like, what the heck? And obviously that season was not great. Now, we start off with a good win against Minnesota, but it's nice to have a game like this against Western Michigan. But then they played well. It builds up confidence, and now you face a Washington team, and you can ride a ton of momentum heading into that one. Western Michigan played a good game. It wasn't like they went out there and gave it to Michigan. I mean, they didn't make many mistakes. They really didn't turn the ball over. They had less penalties. They had 3 penalties, and their quarterback play was good. There was clearly a talent gap, but they had solid receivers, and their quarterback play was there. And Ellaby played well. I think he played his best under pressure. Michigan was getting after them really in the second quarter and on, and he did well. He stayed in the pocket. He looked to improvise. He kept his eyes downfield. It gave me some Montez vibes, to be honest, watching that quarterback. That's what he did. And he made some really good passes, some that maybe they should have came up with, but I thought he played a pretty darn good game considering, you know, where he was at on the road, Max School, to be doing that. I mean, I thought he played a pretty darn good game. So Western Michigan, it's not like they ever just gave the game away to Michigan. Michigan had to take it. And a lot of things clicked. I mean, they came out and they scored on the first drive of the game, which was something that I guess they haven't done since 2019 against Ohio State. So that was the first thing. It was like, oh snap. It was a long, methodical drive, but we scored, you know, on our first drive, which was fantastic. It was very long though, but then I got to give credit to Cade McNamara. McNamara did hit exactly what you would ask him to do. Got 9 for 11 for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The only 2 incompletions he had were tipped at the line of scrimmage. All right. We had a couple of those, but aside from that, I mean, he did exactly what you wanted him to do. He was poised. He made the right decision. He put the ball where the pass was very catchable. He had the big play, but when he needed it on third down, he picked it up. Defense gave up a touchdown on the first drive, but then after that, they really locked in. We really locked in, really on both sides of the ball. I thought we started to click. Putting the ball inside seemed a little bit tricky early. They were able to find some success out to the outside. That Blake Corum, I mean, Corum was just nasty. That dude was fantastic in so many different ways. Just a big playmaker all over the field. I think he had the big kick return. Then he made plays in the pass game, then the run game. Michigan was able to kind of break down the interior run defense by attacking the outside, you know, getting to the perimeter with the run game on the jet sweeps, things like that. But also the deep shots down the field had to back up the secondary, and it forced them to, you know, be a little bit more worried about that, which I think opened up that run game in between the tackles. And shout out to Ronnie Bell. It's terrible that this guy had an injury after week 1. I've heard he, you know, was out for the season. That's just absolutely awful. This guy is a complete stud. He's a stud. He's going to be someone that NFL teams are really going to like, and this is a terrible thing to have happen. I remember he was flashing last year, and then he just came out this year, and it was like, dang, he's that dude. So this is awful. He had a beautiful one-handed grab, then he had the deep grab, he had a good return, and even Jim Harbaugh said that after the game, that seemed to really open it up because they were focused on stopping the run, and the run game wasn't going off early. I mean, Western Michigan was doing a pretty good job containing that. Haskins was kind of more of that, a little bit more of the power back, 5.4 yards per carry, 70 total rushing yards. Both those guys, though, they were just kind of like 2 hammers. It was kind of what the Lions were trying to do. Split back. You got 2 backs that you can rely upon. You know, they got the first down on 4th and 1 to Haskins. He broke some tackles. The vision was there. There was a lot of patience out of both runners. Corn's patience was fantastic. That stuck out to me. That guy let everything develop in front of him. And then Haskins, his ability with contact balance to run that touchdown in. But that really opened up when they got the big play down the field. They mixed in some of those jet sweeps that had big plays. That was kind of the name of the game for Michigan, is they had explosive plays that we haven't seen consistently in the past. They had explosive plays. Their playmakers made plays. Yes, is it against Western Michigan? Yes, it is against Western Michigan. But the receivers were blocking downfield. I mean, they were just, everybody was running to get downfield to block. Roman Wilson with the big play. And Henry was a 74-yard run. And like I said, Ronnie Bell had the big catch. Then on special teams, you block a field goal. You have a big punt return. You have a big kick return. Special teams was clicking. You had one good coverage. I mean, there was explosive plays in this game that great teams have. Right? Great teams, they have explosive plays. If you watch Ohio State versus Minnesota, even though Minnesota really himself, I think, in that game, I mean, they were just giving a wide open touchdowns. They took advantage, though, when they made the big play. One thing to be a team that can, pound it, you know, can convert. But to have a couple of explosive plays to really open up the game that you can convert on is huge, and they did that. Now, Western Michigan is different than when they were going to face Big Ten teams, for sure. But they did have big plays, which was nice. And then, of course, probably the story of the game is going to be J.J. McCarthy. Now, McCarthy wasn't perfect, but I think he looked very confident. I loved the way Harbaugh hyped him up. I was so pumped to see J.J. I was like, let's just get up big enough that we could see this guy come in. I'm glad they put him in. I'm glad we blocked the field goal, him come into the game. And once JJ got out there, man, he just looked so comfortable to me. He missed some passes, but he played with confidence. I mean, they started him off light. They gave him a couple of easy passes. We had to punt with him. But then you see him out there, they draw the defense off sides. He looked confident. I mean, there was kind of a little swagger about him, just kind of the way that he, his body language. He missed a pass a little bit behind his receiver over the middle. And then, of course, the 3rd and 25 play, which everybody's been talking about. Pass rush gets inside. He escapes the rush, rolls out right, and just fires it all the way across the field. And you're like, what the heck? At the same time, it completes it, 69-yard touchdown. And it was like, that's the flash. That's the guy that we're all excited about, the freshman quarterback. He's 5-star, these absolutely talented players. They're going to flash to you. They may make mistakes, but they're going to flash. He came out with confidence, and he made that play where it was like, okay, that's what he's capable of. Don't take anything away from Cade. Cade played a good game too. He had the deep pass, good accurate pass. He did everything he was supposed to do. But JJ flashed that this is what he can be. This is the kind of talent that he can bring to this offense that can change the complete dynamic of what Michigan can be. And that'll be something to keep an eye on this season of how Michigan tries to utilize him. But that was fantastic. Defensively, I think we saw Aiden Hutchinson. He opened it up. And the secondary looked better. I'm not saying they looked perfect. They got beat a couple of times. But Ellaby, he took advantage. If you left someone open, he could take advantage as long as he wasn't getting sacked. But the pass rush started to get there. The pass rush started to open up. That helped Michigan's defense. Because like I said, they gave him a touchdown on the first drive. But like Harbaugh said, they were able to back up the secondary. They were getting a lot of 2-shell, split safety looks in the back end. And they were relying on that front seven. The front seven did a good job of taking away those run plays really through the middle of the game and allowing them to play a little bit more coverage to take away the passing plays. And because the front seven held their own stopping the run, it made it tougher for them to pass, which allowed the pressure to get in because they had to hold the ball a little bit longer. Aiden Hutchinson looked good. Of course, we were expecting that. Ross did his thing. And then secondary, Hill. I actually thought Gray made some plays. Gray also gave up the big pass. But I remember last year he was getting burned. So it was nice to see him a little bit. But there was just good plays around. There was flashes around. Was it perfect? Not at all. But there was flash plays around. Not like Michigan's coverage was great because it wasn't. There were some plays they made. They got their hands on some footballs, but they did give up some completions tail end of like that last scoring drive. But it was better. Last season was awful, right? Last season was really, really bad. Flags left and right. And now Western Michigan's a different skill level than some of the teams that we win against, but they struggled against everybody. And in this game, last season they were allowing 255 passing yards a game and 2 touchdowns. This game they allowed 191 and a touchdown, completing 54% of their passes. Harbaugh did throw some credit at the defense. I think he did talk about Mike McDonald, the new defensive coordinator, a guy that was with the Ravens. He was their assistant DBs coach, and then most recently their assistant linebackers coach. He said for mixing up coverages, and that is something that they're going to keep an eye on for this entire season. We've just gotten killed in the secondary, specifically against Ohio State, but last year everywhere. So that's a spot where any signs of improvement, you take it. At least from what I can remember, we didn't get flagged like crazy in the secondary against Western Michigan. Hutchinson about had one. He knocked it out of the quarterback's hands. But I think overall what you take away is, you can't take Washington lightly. They may have lost, but they're coming out with everything. They're going to come out ready to smack Michigan in the mouth and shut everybody up. Right? There is no preseason. That was a wake-up call for them, and now they're ready to roll. That's a good team that we're going to face, and they're going to be ready to go. So night game, it's going to be big, but Michigan now has that momentum. I was just happy to see that we made big plays, explosive plays on every phase of the game. That was nice. And see J.J. McCarthy go out there and have the big play, it was like, okay, you can see what he can be. Is he perfect now? No, he's a freshman. You could tell he's a freshman. At the same time, you can also see how bright his future can be. And, the offense just did what the offense had to do. It's going to be a different challenge, of course, coming up. And a lot of excitement there. Will they hop into the top 25? It's possible. I've seen someone predict they're going to get to number 13. Now, that won't happen until after Monday because there's games throughout the entire weekend. Usually Sunday we get to top 25, but we're not going to get it till like Tuesday, I think. I don't know if they'll hop into the top 25. I'm not too worried about it. It'll take care of itself. You win games, you'll hop into the top 25. But it's something to keep an eye on. And, of course, Michigan State. Like Michigan State looked, I thought, pretty good against Northwestern. Northwestern was expected to take a step back, but Michigan State took advantage. I thought Northwestern had a chance to punch it in and make that thing interesting, and then they didn't. And then Michigan State scored, and it was like, all right, this game's over. Like, it looked like they were going to punch it in when they broke the run coming out of half, and then they didn't. And that was kind of it. The Big Ten was just weird, though. Indiana looked disgusting. I was like, what the heck? I was expecting that to be much more fun to watch. Penn State, Wisconsin was entertaining. Super entertaining. Alabama, Miami was a letdown. I was like, oh, but this game could be some, maybe they can keep it competitive. No. It wasn't even competitive for a quarter. It was just blowout. That's how that game went. Oh, and also for Michigan, they made both their field goals. Now, the first one, I have no idea how he made that kick, but he was 2 for 2. He made 5 extra points. That was good. Moody knocked it out. We've had kicking issues. But the first one, I was like, he didn't make that. Well, I guess he did make it. So at least they made their field goals. The next one was a chip shot that they got to the 1. You would like to see them go for that actually and punch that in. I would have liked to see that, but they took the field goal. He made the field goal. And then they came out and then, they did their thing out of the second half. So they kept building on the momentum. I would like to see him punch it in, but Harbaugh, it seemed like he just didn't want to stop any momentum. He just wanted to keep building on it. Okay, we moved the ball, let's put points up. Every drive, put points up. Like, that's the goal. Put points every time we touch the football. Michigan 1-0 on to Washington. We should be live this weekend to check that out. And, of course, then Sunday, it's game day. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.